Hey everybody, Ryan F. MTG here, and today we are talking about the official changes that will be happening sometime in March. These changes will probably be implemented when the new card set in Zero comes out. So, we have about a week, give or take a little bit. I do want to apologize. It's been a couple days since this announcement came out, and usually I like to do these videos discussing my thoughts about the changes, right when the changes are announced. However, I've been really busy the past couple days, so better late than never, I hope. But I do want to say, a couple weeks ago when the announcements were first published that, hey, we are changing some cards, but they didn't tell us what. I did make a video of kind of my hopes and speculation of what would change, and some of my hopes came true, some of my speculation kind of came true, some definitely didn't. Some cards I was very wrong with, and some of the changes I like more than my hopes, and definitely some of the changes I like less. So why don't we talk about the changes? The first card that's being changed is Iris, and as you can see, it says before, after, and then they give a reason. I probably won't talk about the reasons, because usually the reasons are just like, oh, this card's too powerful, and some of the reasons are good. I will post a link to the article, so if you want to read the whole entire article, you can definitely do that, but I'll give you my thoughts. So Iris, basically the only change is the HP used to be 6, and now it's going down to 4. Everything else is staying the same. I think this is somewhat good because, like they said, decreasing the HP by 2 will mean that this can take less hits and will get killed or trade off, probably killed a lot of times, faster than before, so it doesn't stick around as much. However, you're still getting the MP boost of 50, and it still has shield. So right there, the shield is big because that takes 1 hit regardless of how strong or weak that hit is. So I think Iris is going to still stick around. Yes, a 1/4 body is pretty fragile, but with shield, it's going to stick around. Overall, this is a pretty big nerf, right? I'm not saying that it's not a big nerf, but I really wanted Iris's MP to maybe go up to 6 because that just means this goes down a little bit later. And in my mind, I think this is a less intense nerf than if you were bumping the MP up. However, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe nerfing the HP is actually a bigger nerf than if you bump this up to 6. So I'm a little speculative of this, if this will really change it that much, but a fragile body means that Iris will be leaving the battlefield sooner, so maybe the MP and just the value engine won't be there, which, I'll kind of play with this. Right now, I wish they kind of bumped the MP cost to 6, but -2 HP is a big deal. The tank is next. This is kind of like Iris. The only thing that they changed is the HP. It used to be 8, now it's 6. So yet again, -2 HP, which, yet again, that is a big deal. That means this will definitely trade off more since it is just a big tank that if you ascend it, it's going to have 6 attack. But that means it will leave the battlefield sooner, which is good. This is a very oppressive card for sure. I was talking about in my previous video that, yet again, I thought the MP cost should be higher and maybe change the stats around a little bit, or maybe do both. So this is kind of in the camp of Iris. I can't say I love this change. However, maybe just cutting the HP down by 2 is maybe even a bigger change than just bumping the MP cost up of 1, especially now that I think about it with the Yanli decks of all the MP ramp. It's not that much harder for them to get to 7 compared to 6 MP. Usually, as the Yanli player, you have embarrassment of riches when it comes to MP because you have all the MP ramp. So actually, maybe I'm getting a little bit higher, even not playing with cutting down the HP over bumping up the MP. Definitely will take this for a spin, see how it feels. Next up is Hell Ant. Yet again, the only change is HP. That's kind of the theme for quite a few cards, is the HP used to be 5, and now we're going down to 4. So it's only -1 HP. I really wanted maybe the attack to be lower, because that's what the Hell Ant wants. It wants attack because that's what it's going to deal across the board, stuff like that. So I was thinking maybe nerf it to 1 attack, so then maybe you kind of want this in more a pump spell package or something like that. Or maybe just have it be it only can deal damage to the unit in front or something like that. So I didn't really see just a HP reduction for this card. However, definitely going from 5 to 4, it doesn't have shield. 4 isn't that much HP. It still will take a hit or two to kill the Hell Ant, but this is a nerf for sure. The next card up is Soul's Return. this one's weird because I kind of read it and then I was like, wait, what changed? And then I reread it. It's like, oh, wait, that's what changed? So the only thing that's changed, it's still the same MP cost. It still has the same effect. So what changed? It's basically you remove 3 cards from your deck. That's the change. That's the nerf or the downside now. I put that in air quotes because, yes, it is a downside. It is a nerf. But all in all, I don't find that big of a nerf. Sure, you have to mill yourself 3 cards, but this is still just a MP board wipe or bounce spell, right? It doesn't really kill it, but it wipes the board, throws it back in the deck. And in my mind, just milling yourself 3 cards, the vast majority of games will not matter at all. Yes, every once in a while, games can go down to decking, but I feel like a lot of times it doesn't matter. So overall, I don't think that this is a big change. Yes, they kind of talk about the reasoning is that it's harder to play like back-to-back Souls Return or 3 Souls Return in a game, which that is true because if you're milling yourself 6 or 9 cards, that does stack up a lot. But your first Soul Return feels like the exact same. So overall, I don't actually like this change because I think if you, as a game designer, if you're like, hey, this card is too powerful as is, just adding the 3 mil to it doesn't particularly make it that much different or that much less powerful. So I don't really like this change. Next up is Surge at Mana Power. This got a bigger nerf than I kind of thought it would be. I thought maybe they would make this cost, 7 or 8, bump up the MP a little bit, but no, they reworked the whole card. So basically it's the same 6 MP, so it's still, somewhat cheap. Not super cheap, but somewhat cheap. However, it only halves the MP cost of all the cards in both players' hand and EX pocket. That's a humongous change because especially with the decks that are playing Surge are big Resonate style decks. So they have a lot of, 6 and 7 drops and 5 drops and stuff. So yeah, halving a Buki down to 3 MP, that's humongous. But that's a lot different than making that Ibuki into a 1 MP unit, which overall I kind of like this change. I think this really, really does nerf it. I still feel like you will play it, but it actually makes the games where you cast Surge still games, where sometimes you cast Surge and the game's just over. So I think this was a good change. And definitely a little bit more of an aggressive nerf than just raising this up by 1 or 2 MP. But overall, I'm okay with that aggressive nerf, and I like this. Servation Impulses next. This is another card that I actually thought that they would not change it the way that they are changing it, and I can't say I'm particularly happy. So basically, everything's staying the same. However, before, you just needed to have the Ascend status once to get the +2/+2, right? Now it is 3 or more. So it's kind of like the sets and a lot of the other Ascend-centric cards. I don't particularly like this because, yes, I think this is a great pump spell, but I really just wanted them to maybe make this cost 3 MP or something like that. But making you have to ascend more means this is not an early game play. And in my mind, I want my pump spells to be any time of the game, either early, mid, late, whenever, and especially early because most decks that are playing pump spells are aggressive to mid-range, where I want my pump spells when I want them, where you have to get to 3 ascend triggers and you're not doing that right away. That will take a while. So overall, yes, this is still a super powerful effect. For 2 MP, you can get +3/+3, but that hoop to jump through of getting ascend 3 or more times makes this more a mid to late game, and I don't like that in a pump spell. That's why I didn't want to see them change it to this threshold and maybe just bump it up the MP cost. So I don't like this change because I feel like this really nerfs this card a little bit too much, and I don't think this card needs to be nerfed that much. Okay, so that was all the cards that got changed. Now it's the 3 hero arts. So to no one's surprise, Ryu Hadouken is getting nerfed. And this is exactly what I thought it would be. It used to be 18 AP, and now it's 20 AP. It still does 7 damage to enemy unit, so everything's the same. This is what I thought would happen, and I'm okay with this change. Just bumping it up to 2 AP isn't tons, right? It still leaves the core, the shell of what Hadouken does, and I think that's good. But, that means, 2 AP is quite a bit, so that means maybe the games that you get to fire off 2 or 3 or, however many is a little bit lower, or you just have to space them out a little bit more. So I like this change, and yet again, it's kind of like a baby step nerf, but I think that's okay, especially with hero arts. Maybe you want to be a little bit more cautious, and 20 AP seems good, especially that's what DD got bumped to. So in my mind, maybe 20 is now kind of going to be what a lot of the like S to A tier hero arts that are very powerful maybe should be more at 20, and I think that's good. I like this change. Yet again, to no one's surprise, the Yanli is getting nerfed. And this one is a little bit more than I thought it would be. I'm not saying I'm sad at all. I'm actually kind of happy. And it goes back to what I said about Ryu. Maybe the cap now is 20 AP for all the powerful ones, because the nerf to this is everything stays the same. It used to be 15 AP, now it's 20 AP. That's a humongous change. That's 5. Where Ryu was just 2 AP difference, this is 5 AP difference. That's very, very big. That definitely decreases the amount of times that you get 2, 3, 4 Yanli triggers off, and I think that's good, because one of the things about the Yanli deck that is so oppressive is it's so streamlined. You have so many MP units, and AP of 15 to use your hero art isn't that expensive, and then you get plus 4 MP. So you're kind of just like, you never run out of gas, where this will trip you up more, right? The changes to the units will trip you up more, but especially now that Yanli is, or sorry, the Yawn hero art is 20, you're not going to be using this as much. Like, it's still a very powerful effect, but I think this is a little bit more radical of a change, and overall I think it's good. Yes, we have to play with it, see how much of a difference it changes, but I think it will change it quite a bit. Shadowblade is the last hero art that got a change, and our last, card or anything that got a change. And this is not what I thought they would change. I thought, AP of 18, I thought they were going to bump it up to 20, kind of like what they did with Wesker DD, and now what they just did with Yawn and Ryu. However, they did something a little bit more unique. And this is actually a couple comments on my previous video of my theory crafting of what they would change, and on Reddit. People kind of mentioned this, and I was like, oh, that's actually something I didn't think of, and I liked it. I'm very happy about this change. So basically, everything stays the same. However, before, you would always gain the life of, gain 4 or gain 6, whatever. Now it's just you gain 2 life. Regardless of if you're dealing 4 damage to the unit or 6 damage to a flight unit, you gain 2 life. I like this change, because this is still, like, you just dealing 4 damage to a unit is still weaker on a damage scale than Hadouken by a lot, right? Or DD that can just kill anything 5 MP or less. That's a big difference. Shadowblade isn't dealing that much damage, but what was really good about it is that you are gaining so much life that you can prolong the game. Where now, they're not nerfing anything else but that life gain, and I think that makes sense, and I think it's a little bit more of a unique change, and plus 2 life is good. Like, this is still nice. It's also nice that this is only 18 AP compared to a lot of the heavy hitter hero arts that are now 20, so it's a little bit cheaper. Yes, it isn't dealing tons of damage, but it's still a decent amount of damage, and you still do gain some life, but not tons. I like this change a lot. Overall, there's definitely some changes that I liked more than my theory crafting session, and definitely some changes that I didn't like as much, or that I don't think are as impactful that maybe I want them to be. But yet again, these are just my initial thoughts, my initial reactions, and of course, really what will be the test is when in March these changes happen, we get to play with the cards, we get to play with the hero arts to see what is actually nerfed to the ground, or what almost feels like it never got nerfed before. But overall, as a whole, I like these changes. I think some of them are very unique and different, and I like that. Because before, in my theory crafting session, I was thinking that they were just going to bump the AP up a lot, or bump the MP up a lot. And they played around more with the stats, or maybe more with like the life gain, stuff like that, than just the cost of the card. And I think that's a little bit, I don't know, in some cases I think that's better, in some cases I think that's worse, but overall it makes me think that they're actually looking at the cards and not just taking the easy way out. And I think that's very good for nerfs or buffs, is to actually take time and effort into what you are doing and to test them. So hopefully these are good nerfs and changes and everything like that. I'm a little speculative of some. I'm really happy about others. I just cannot wait till March, because we get these changes, we get new cards, we get Zero. There's a lot on the horizon for Teppen, and I'm super excited. But thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.